let's go back to the premonitions. So now you're having premonitions. I mean, you're smelling flowers. That's pretty deep. That's heavy. So how are you processing this? Like, what am I to do with this?
So at the same time I started seeing angel numbers, I was seeing 33 all the time, and that took it even further, because when you start Googling stuff about these numbers, and I'm like, oh, Freemasonry and like all this other stuff, like I'm tripping, like, oh my God, what does this mean? I think it was a matter of like connection with my guys, and just like letting them like actually deliver what that meant. You know what I mean? I would have moments like when I was researching. I think at one point I took my birthday. My birthday is 8/18/88. I took my birthday and I added it up, and it equals 33. And in that moment, like, you can just feel like those moments where you know your guys are surrounded you. Like, you can feel them looking at you like, yep, this is a moment. Like, yeah, like you just figured something out. Yeah. And so that was a moment for me of like, okay, I really need to understand what this message means for me. And for me, it means that I'm guided by ascended masters, whether that's Jesus or whoever it is, and I'm seeing as somebody who mastered divinity on earth through a human experience. That's who's guiding me, and I'm promised to have that experience in this lifetime if I stay in alignment. So it doesn't matter what I find online. It's like having to come to what does this mean for me?
Right. That's deep. So now after that, what was did you take that, or you were just kind of just developing, or did you take that further? Did that manifest into something else, or?
I was so lost at that point. It was so overwhelming to me. I remember I told my husband at the point, I was like, I don't know what it is, but I'm supposed to heal a lot of people. Like, I know I'm starting to accept it. I'm starting to feel it. I was like, maybe I'm supposed to be a pastor, because I still don't know, how does this look for me in my life? I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it. God had to take me and take away everything that I knew of my role in this life and how I was supposed to see it. He had to take away everything and make me start over. So at the time I was married, my husband had been in a bad motorcycle accident. So he was learning how to walk again. My whole role is, I'm in school for social work, I'm caring for my 2 young children, and I'm caregiving to my, husband that's in a wheelchair. As soon as my husband got better, then we split up. Like, it got bad. Like, I had to leave him. And so this for me, and like abandonment wounds and everything, like this was me coming back to everything that you know of what makes you worthy in life. Which for me was having a family, right? Now I have to like completely redo it. I have to figure out who I am outside of, being somebody's wife, and like being this idea, just like the idea of religion, right? I had to figure out who I was. And if that hadn't happened, I don't think I ever would have really came to it. I don't think I ever would have truly figured it out. So I got divorced, moved out, I got my own house. I was desperate for someone to help me understand what was happening to me. Mm-hmm. So I started Googling people in the area. I met this woman who did Reiki with me. And I was having such divine experiences that I started studying under her to get into Reiki. But all the time I was still in school for social work, because I knew I was supposed to help people. But it was like this progression of like how that was supposed to play out.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, so with the Reiki experience, you said you were experiencing some things with that. What were those experiences?
So my first time getting Reiki, it was crazy. So my very first time getting Reiki, a lot of people fall asleep. You fall asleep, or you go in. My son, this is how my son describes it. My son's 12 years old. He says, Mom, Reiki is like when somebody else gives you meditation. Right? So like that's what it feels like for him. Like he's like, I can't quiet my mind and meditate on my own, but when you give me Reiki, it feels like must be what meditation feels like. Mm-hmm. So through my first Reiki experience, I was having all these scenes, like visuals of really beautiful landscapes that were very colorful that I didn't recognize, but also had a sense of familiarity of like, oh no, I do know this place. It's, this is a beautiful healing place, but I can't remember, like caves and hills and all these different places. So I woke up from that, ended up having somewhat of like a spiritual detox, which made me actually flip out on my Reiki teacher for a minute. I'm like, what did you do to me? Like, were you doing some evil stuff to me? Like, I'm like kind of freaking out. And she's like, no, this is just the first time you've ever done this work. You got a lot to like let out. After that, I think my second time going, I fell asleep. But the very first time she told me, the very first time she said, your grandfather is here. And it's so funny because I told your friend Naima this earlier. She said, your grandfather here, this is your main spirit guide. And I'm like, well, my grandfather, both of my grandfathers are alive. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, she's like, this is a grandfather on your father's side, right? So later on in life, it led me to figure out who that was on my father's side. But she would just deliver me like little messages that were in alignment and help me understand myself on a deeper level.
That's deep. I do know what you're talking about with the Reiki. When I got mine done, it kind of was like I was in like some type of rainforest or something. And it's funny because every time like I try to meditate, I see like this rainforest, and I kid you not, this is really weird, but on the log that she, there'll be a log or something. It was literally like a leprechaun sitting there, and I'm like, what is this leprechaun about? And it smiled at me, and I'm just like, maybe it's some crazy ass ancestor or something. I didn't know what was going on, but I know what you're saying. It's a different experience. I mean, you feel the warmth. I seen different colors. I mean, but I wasn't freaked out about it. I didn't have nothing to freak me out. I was kind of like, is this real? Kind of like I was with the past life regression. Like, am I making this shit up? Like, just tell me I'm on some bullshit. We can move forward. Yeah.